Design. I'm Diana Ryan, and today I'm going to design a vase of a dozen roses. Very popular design in the floral industry, been around for a long time and will continue to be. There's just something about a dozen roses that everybody loves. And my focus today is going to be on traditional design. There are a lot of variations of a dozen roses, contemporary, very fun, unique, but that's another video. All right, let's get started. I have my vase. Typical rose vase, filled up with water, not all the way, because by the time I add in the stems, the water level is going to rise. And I also put a little bit of bleach in there to keep the water clean. Bleach does not hurt the flowers. In fact, it helps the flowers last longer because the bleach is going to kill the bacteria that's going to take place in the water, and the bacteria is the thing that really kills the flowers faster. So there's a couple drops of bleach in there. There are some local preservatives available that work very good. They've also got food in them as well as the bacteria side. Sometimes they cloud the water. Especially with a clear vase, you want to keep that water clear, clean, and crisp. So I just add a little bit of bleach. Okay, first thing we want to do is I'm going to establish a grid in my vase because, as you can see, there's no oasis to hold these flowers in place. So I'm going to do that with my salal. Another basic staple of the floral industry. So salal's got a really heavy stem. If I try to cut it with a knife, sometimes it's hard to do, so a lot of times I break it to do that. You always want to get a fresh break in anything before you put it into the vase. That will help the flowers absorb water. So I'm going to start placing my salal in here. And as you can see, it's going to be like a little crisscross pattern in the vase as I go along. And that's my grid that I was talking about. Break this stem. Salal is so durable and it's so great. It's got, you know, the leaves of a salal almost look like the leaves of roses. They're a little bigger, but very similar. So I'm getting my crisscross, and then, like I say, that's going to help hold the roses in place. Now let's add a little bit of leather leaf, just to give it a little bit of softening. I think I'll take off these bottom two. It just adds a nice feathery texture to it, and it's also going to help with my grid in my design. I'm going to try to do it all the way around. This is a centerpiece design. In other words, it's going to look good all the way around when I'm done. Take off the bottom two, they're a little scruffy. This is looking pretty good. Maybe I'll put one more up at the top, just to add that texture up in there. Okay, now let's add our roses. You want to make sure the outer petals are nice and pretty and clean, not bruised, so I'm going to take off a couple that are bruised. I'm going to take off the foliage and the thorns that will go into the vase. You do not want to add any extra foliage into the vase. That's just going to be more food for the bacteria, so we want to keep that to a minimum. I don't like to strip all the leaves of my roses, however. Some people do, but I still like the natural foliage of them. And we give the flowers a sharp slanting cut. That increases the surface area of the rose, and it also lets them drink water once they put it in. So what am I doing here? I put my top one in, and now I'm going to angle around. I want the form to be like a half of a circle, a rounded form. There's a bad petal. So here's another one. Let's take that off because they're not going to get better. They're only going to get a little bit worse. These are nice sturdy stems on these roses, especially leaves like this. No, we got to go. Take off those thorns. The thorns will kind of catch each other in the vase if I don't take them off. They'll just get hung up. And see, these are staying nicely because I've made my grid. If I tried to start off with roses without my grid, they'd be flopping all over the place and you'd get frustrated. It wouldn't be where you wanted it. So here's what I'm aiming for. And I try to angle the roses as I go. Let me show you this way. And you can kind of see it in the vase at an angle. Now let's get another rose on the opposite side. a little tall. And we'll place that. It's starting to get a little crowded already, but that's not a bad thing. Okay, and I'm really just kind of filling in here. Let's go all the way around. My stems are getting slightly shorter, not too much, because the one thing that we love about roses is their nice long stem. There. Okay, so let's come around this way and take off the roses. All right, let's see how we're looking over here. I constantly keep turning this vase so that I get the form that I'm wanting. All right, let's get a angle out this way. You know what? There's a top of this salal that I don't like. I'm just going to cut that off. There. Okay, how are we looking? Let's see here. All right, I think I need another one right up there. That's about the right length. How are my petals? Let's take one off. And we'll weave that down inside to the spot that I want it. There we go. Some of your roses have a slight bend and they're a little bit more flexible. So those are the ideal ones to put out to the side. I saved my really thick stems for the center ones that are going to go straight up and down. So let's get this angled. See, that angle makes it really nice coming across that way. And this one happens to be curved perfectly for us. So we'll take advantage of that, and I'm going to balance it on the other side. Put it right in through here. Whoops, getting my vase here. Look at that. That just laid very nicely in place. Okay, I've got one more rose. Let's readjust it a little bit. I want it even. I want it spaced evenly. I don't want a lot of gaps, and I want it to be fairly uniform. So we'll do a little adjusting. It feels, let's shorten this guy a little bit. Right there, that's good. I think I need one more right here, you know, to kind of balance that out. So that's what I'm looking for. All right, now I've got them pretty much where I want them. I'm going to do a little bit more readjusting. Leave these stems long because they look so pretty. And you know what? There's, it's so nice to see the roses individually, I think, and you can do that. This guy I'm going to move just a tad, get where I want it. There we go. Okay, now let's give it a twirl. Okay, there's our vase of a dozen roses.